a mentor like Ken, and we haven't gotten to him yet, but Bill Collings as well. Those people, they're kind of always behind your shoulder. Whether you like it or not. And a lot of times I'm like, go away. I'm doing my own thing here, but they're in the back of your mind, kind of, judging like, yeah, you sure about that? So, I mean, that's a big thing I take. And Ken was an incredibly talented machinist, and I was able to work a lot in the tool room, learn some machining from him. Yeah, I mean, he learned a lot of things from him and some great sayings that he used to say, quit dulling your tools and make something.
Welcome to Life with Strings Attached. I'm your host, Jamie Gale. My guest today is Jerome Little, founder of Torzal Guitars and the mind behind the Torzal Natural Twist. Jerome's story begins in the remote woods of the Sierra Nevada mountains, where figuring things out for yourself was simply a part of daily life. During his music and acoustic studies at Hampshire College, he asked a deceptively simple question: why should a musician have to adapt their body to an instrument? That question became his college thesis, the natural twist, and the beginning of a career that would put Jerome in the company of some remarkable instrument makers, drawing the attention of Ken Parker, then Bill Collings. Jerome carries lessons from both of these legendary mentors into a design philosophy that remains distinctly his own. Our conversation moves through those formative experiences, the mentors who shaped him, the realities of ergonomics and repetitive injury, and his continuing search for better ways to build instruments, using materials intelligently, challenging convention, and never treating tradition as the end of the conversation. Jerome is curious, thoughtful, and perhaps most importantly, a maker who actually realizes his concepts. I thoroughly enjoyed my conversation with Jerome Little, and I hope that you do as much as I did. Jerome, thanks for being on the show.
Hi, Jamie. Thanks
Welcome to Life with Strings Attached.
It's quite an honor to be here.
Oh, well, you're doing some very interesting things with your work, and so I'm excited about talking with you. So how are things there? You're in Austin, correct? Or at least roughly close to Austin?
Yep. Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
And,
yeah. Great. But, yeah, how long have you been there? Because you're not from Austin. Your voice doesn't sound like you're from Austin anyways.
I'm not from Austin. Nope. You caught me. I've been here for, I moved here in 2004. So just over 20 years.
That's a long time.
Been coming here, for years before that, but yeah, I grew up in the Sierra Nevada mountains in northeastern California, and yeah, then I spent about 8 years in Massachusetts, and that's the short story.
Yeah, great. Well, you know what? Let's touch on that a little bit of your history, because actually you have an interesting history that intersects with a number of other notable guitar makers that I think is quite interesting, that people would like to know those connections. And so let's start like way back, like where you were born, when, sort of a little bit about just those moments that if we remove those from the story, you probably wouldn't be the person you are today. And so
Sure.
Would you mind taking us way back, where and when were you born, and to
Sure.
whom, a little bit about, those formative things. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was born in the small town of Chester, California, which is, like I just said, it's in the Sierras in northeastern California, north of Tahoe, just for a global reference. I was born in 1974, and grew up my whole life in that area, specifically in the town of Greenville, and let's see. I mean, yeah, I grew up in the woods.
What was life like there? I mean, you say like in the mountains. I mean, that's properly in the mountains.
It's very rural.
Where you are at that point, right?
Yeah, we would joke, but it was hardly a joke. We'd drive 2 hours to get a milkshake. But yeah, very rural. But the geography is so diverse. I mean, we, in the winters, we'd dig ourselves out of 2 feet of snow and drive down to the Sacramento Valley, and there's oranges growing on the trees. and so it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Okay. And so
but
what do you
yeah, I
think
mean,
what do you think that does for your formative years? What do you think a kid who grows up in a rural area like that has that you bring to life today?
um, I had a lot of freedom. I mean, I didn't think so as a kid, um, but I had a lot of freedom to just explore and create, and um, and you know, I owe a lot of gratitude to my parents for kind of allowing for that space as well. And my
Hmm.
dad was quite inspiring, as he was a firefighter, a wildlands firefighter. He actually
Hmm.
flew in an airplane and directed all of the air traffic helicopters and air tankers where to drop, and basically commanded the fires from the air. But he,
Hmm. Hmm.
in the winters, when it was not fire season, um, he was actually a writer. He spent a lot of time writing, but he also spent a lot of
Hmm.
time, most of his time, um, working on our house. And uh, in retrospect, I look at all this stuff that he did, things that he built with very few tools, and he was just very resourceful and creative, and that definitely, I definitely got a lot of that, and then kind of inspired by just, um, well, I like to work outside of the box and think outside of the box, and just
Hmm.
use the resources that are available, and do the best I can. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, just talking about growing up there, just for more background. I mean, our house was solely heated by wood. We cooked on wood. Um, so a lot of our summer family activities were getting firewood and splitting firewood,
Hmm.
um,
Hmm.
and also my folks, when I was young, um, they had a winter hobby of racing sled dogs, and
Oh.
so I grew up, with a team of huskies, and we'd spend weekends kind of on a regional circuit of going to sled dog races, and grew up on cross country skis, just skiing around and working with the dogs. And
Wow.
um,
Those are high energy animals. They take some real commitment.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was a big commitment. Yeah, my parents used to joke
Yeah.
that when the kids are gone and the dogs are dead, boy, we're really going to do some living.
That's
But
wonderful. So I presume you learned how to ride the sleigh also and how to race the dogs to a certain extent.
yeah, yeah, I never raced like a full team, but I raced the Pee Wee events, which was,
Yeah.
generally just one dog, but that was enough.
Hmm.
uh, yeah, and we also
Oh,
did,
fantastic.
besides the racing, we
Now,
did some winter camping trips and had a lot of miserable and memorable times.
yeah, amazing. I'm a Canadian, and so people
Yeah,
associate snow with Canadians a great
yeah,
deal. And I find that when I travel to places that don't experience snow, they just find the whole idea terrifying. It's like, oh, you've got
yeah,
snow. What do you?
yeah,
I couldn't be cold like that,
yeah.
But
Well, it's
humans are
hilarious there in
resourceful. We've created a lot of interesting ways to adapt to the snow, and actually, there's a lot of really wonderful things about snow. One of the things that
Yeah,
I think is most wonderful that people don't understand is the acoustic effects of snow, that it
yeah,
creates this quietness, this
yeah,
incredible quietness that you could not appreciate otherwise. And
absolutely,
that's
absolutely.
something I think people should experience. Hmm.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that recently. I was just there a couple of weeks ago, and in the summer, the air is very dry and the sound travels really far. And I was actually thinking about that in the comparison with the winter when there's a nice fluffy snowfall and everything just gets quiet, and it's really
Yeah.
amazing. Uh, the snow
Yeah,
is also,
exactly. We
when there's a
contrast
big,
that with like the desert canyons. We
yeah,
imagine the desert canyon and the reverberation and the echo. Like that's exactly it. It's
yeah,
dry equals a lot of movement, and that the snow just
yeah,
kills it all. It's really
yeah,
remarkable. Yeah.
yeah,
hmm
yeah. The
Wonderful.
snow
So
is.
listen, so you're growing up there and you've got a mom and a dad and huskies. Are you an only child? Do you have siblings also?
I have an older brother. He's about 2 years older,
hmm
and
Yeah.
yeah, we're
Okay.
close. We're good friends. But that said,
Yeah.
and speaking back to the freedom of that life, we grew up sharing a bedroom, and when I was
hmm
13, I decided I wanted my own room and was gonna, um, and I wanted to build my own cabin away from the house, and
hmm
my parents agreed. They said, "Yeah, go ahead. We'll buy the materials. You do the work." And so I built my own cabin and spent the rest of my
Amazing.
teenage years living out of that cabin. Still there. In fact, I just stayed there, slept in my cabin when I just went back and
How
visited.
close was it to the house?
It's about 50 yards, something like that.
So it's not like right beside the house. You are
Not right
actually kind
beside.
of on your
Yeah,
on your
yeah.
own. Are there trees in between, or can you see the house clearly, or are you really kind of feeling independent in
There's
that cabin?
it's pretty
Mhm.
independent. I mean, it's you can, yeah. There's trees in between. You can see if the lights are on or something like that.
Mhm.
But it's pretty independent.
That's a remarkable move, and it is so not in line with how modern American parenting is.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
where the parents are right there all the time. I'm kind of afraid to let the kid have any space because of what might possibly happen to them when you're not looking is, I think, the
yeah.
overriding modern parenting sort of method. And
Right.
so that's that's amazing. And you're 13. And I love that also, Jerome, because, although it's probably unpopular for me to say, we're the only species on the planet that hits sexual maturity and then says, no, 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 wait another 15 years before you grow up. Like that's
Yeah,
biologically speaking, a bit insane.
yeah,
Really when you hit sexual maturity, it should be a clear indication that you should have competence because nature has
yeah,
decided that you should have competence at that point in time. And so we raise very old children these days. And your parents gave you a level of autonomy that is so weird in the modern sense, but I love it.
yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Very grateful.
Yeah. I mean, 100 years ago, Gandhi and Ba married at like, I think 11 and 13, and then he still went on to pass the bar in London and then went on to change the world. It's not like
Yeah,
you get married young. That means you're now, you gave up everything else. That's not true at
right.
all, And so,
Yeah,
so
good
you're
point.
13, you build a cabin and then you get to live in it on your parents' property. That is remarkable. It's
Yeah,
really remarkable.
yeah,
Do you know that? Do you know how weird that
yeah,
is and how special that is?
yeah. And I mean, honestly, I knew it at the time. I knew it was special. I knew it was it was a gift, and um, so yeah, I don't think I ever took it for granted. Um,
hmm That also tells me that your parents thought that you were a responsible young man at 13. Is
I'm
that fair
sure
to
they
say?
had their moments of doubt, but
Sure.
but yeah, yeah, it definitely takes a level of trust to turn a kid loose on a project like that.
As a guitar builder and a player, you have a sense for when something's working right. That's why so many of the world's best trust D'Addario. Unmatched tone, perfect intonation, and strings made to the tightest tolerances in the industry. That reputation is no accident. It's the result of 400 years of being obsessed with quality and innovation. D'Addario. When you know, you know.
All right. So you're in the Sierra Nevada mountains. You're in a rural area. You have to drive 2 hours to get a milkshake. Your dad is working intensely in the summer times during the fire season. This is the part that a lot of people don't understand. We hear about the California fires all the time, and at the risk of sounding unsympathetic, and I'm not, I'm totally sympathetic to somebody who's in danger, but
Yeah.
redwoods and sequoias cannot germinate without fire. Like, they literally can't, the seed won't crack open without extreme heat. And therefore, if you live in a redwood or sequoia forest, that thing is designed to burn, and they burn all the time. Is that true? Am I wrong on that?
Yeah, no, you're right. And in fact, I mean, it's a great irony because my mom is an environmental journalist, and she writes all the time about how, I mean, basically, our the fire suppression has really just damaged our forests, and because they need that fire to keep them clean, and so after years of all the fire suppression that we've done, now we're having these mega fires. I mean, combined with climate change and all that. I mean, we didn't have. There were always fires, but we didn't have the mega fires that we're seeing now. And in fact, my hometown in 2021 actually burned to the ground. The whole town was destroyed, virtually the whole town. My parents' property was miraculously saved, but yeah, it's wild stuff. But you're right. I mean, fire needs to be part of that ecosystem.
Yeah. I find that we have an inclination to identify things as good and bad very quickly. And often we identify things as bad that are actually a very healthy, natural part of the world. And it's difficult for people that are, we don't deal with fire very well. Like, humans don't survive fire very well. And so it is something we should be afraid of. Like, to be clear, like, we shouldn't be haphazard about fire. It's a horrible thing, but my son was on fire and had bad burns and has skin grafts from when he was young. And, it is something that we should rightly so fear, but perhaps the wisest thing to do is to understand that it's not an evil in the world. It's something we should be careful of, but it also has a place. And I think that we would do better as a species to look at all things that way, to say that,
100%.
Everything kind of has a purpose. Well, not 100% everything, but but most things anyways can be identified as, something to be avoided, but not something to be viewed as evil, something to learn from and manage yourselves.
Totally agree.
And so you grew up with a very real reality of that with your parents, both managing the fires and writing about them also. Yeah. So both parents are writers.
Yeah, they were both English majors. My dad was never wrote in a professional sense. He did write a manuscript that unfortunately never got published, but it's a wonderful book. But yeah, my mom still is a professional journalist.
Great. Yeah, many great books have been published posthumous.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Not giving up hope. I just read it last summer, and it's I think a lot of people would enjoy it.
Oh, that's a nice gift to be able to read your dad's book like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Wonderful. Okay, so here we are. We're up to 13 years old. We're in the Sierra Nevada. You have your mother crafty also? She's writing as an art form and as work. Tell me a little bit about, you said that your dad built things and was resourceful in the way he did it. I
Yep.
mean, if your mother was there also, I presume that she was either a prisoner or also resourceful.
No, yeah, she's very much in the same, in the same vein. I mean, yeah, yeah, she loved the way of life and it's very resourceful. I mean, uh, she did, it's funny, she has a master's degree from Harvard in Japanese culture. And then she followed
Hmm.
my father out to the mountains and, and, never really, I mean, she's used it in interesting tangential ways, but, it wasn't the life that she, I think, envisioned when she went to, um, graduate school.
Right. Right.
But
Okay.
she very much, you know, took on that way of life and enjoyed it and still loves it today.
Hmm. Hmm. Wonderful. So okay. All right. So you grew up in a very unusual for your time, unusual for the 1970s and 80s, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
For that period. So I mean, you're 13, so I guess this is 1987-ish. Your late 80s. This is definitely very much a developed world. You know,
Yep.
California. When you come down the mountain, it's a very very different place,
Yep.
right? It's super
Yep.
developed. Silicon Valley is alive and well, very alive and well at this point in time, also,
Yep.
right? And
I was
so, okay, so
rocking all the hair bands and, we'd go to Sacramento and see Ozzy and Scorpions and all the great 80s metal. That was
yeah,
what
which
first grew up
had
in.
a lot of root in California, also. I mean, there's a huge scene in
Yeah.
California for that stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. The band Tesla was from Sacramento. They were our so-called hometown heroes.
yeah. Oh, great. Okay. So, all right. So you're listening to metal. You're going down the mountain, leaving your wood fire and cabin to rock out. I mean,
Yeah.
how do you get into electric instruments? I don't want to jump too much of the ship here, but it
Yeah.
seems like, well, I
Um,
presume you weren't playing electric guitar at 13.
no, I mean, I started playing bass around 12 or 13. Um, really, yeah, 13-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've been playing music for a while. I played the violin when I was in elementary school, and
Mm-hmm.
um, and then started playing trombone in fifth, fifth or sixth grade, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Um, played the trombone all through high school. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, somewhere around, I guess, seventh or eighth grade, um, had a wonderful band director, Jim Norman, and he approached me. He said, "Hey, Jerome, I really need a bass player for the jazz band, and you already read the bass clef, playing the trombone. Would you give it a
Mm-hmm.
try? I have a bass that you can play." And it's like, yeah, yeah, I'll give it a try.
Mm-hmm.
And took to it pretty quickly. I was I was stoked and uh, and really just found right away, just started listening to the bass parts and just just started immersing myself in bass, and I was just in love, and it um the whole role of the bass kind of suited my personality. It's just,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um if you can't tell, like I I don't care to be in the spotlight, um but I'm competent and I'll keep the rhythm, you know.
Mm-hmm.
um
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, so I started playing bass 13 and played all through high school and yeah.
Great. And and so I'm sorry, I've made some assumptions. You had electricity at your home that you're cooking on the wood fire, but you still have electricity.
Yeah,
Is
we
that
had. I
correct
mean,
or
we
no?
had. Don't get me wrong. We were. um, we did. we heated with wood. We did cook on a wood stove. We also had an
Yeah.
electric stove. We had electricity, and
Okay.
yeah, we even had television.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. All right. So you did have access to electricity for your bass amplifier or whatever. Yeah.
absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
That was a great thing
All right.
about having my own cabin. I had my first amp was a big PV at 15-inch
Mhm.
speaker, and my cabin wasn't very big that I could crank that thing up. It was good. Didn't
Great.
bother anybody.
Didn't bother anyone. Wonderful. Okay. So what's the next sort of major point along the way? So
Uh,
you're playing bass
probably go
now. When does Mhm.
probably going off to college.
Cedar Creek Custom Case Shop is your premier fretted instrument custom case maker, and we invite you to create a musical instrument case unlike any other, one that's unique to you. Every Cedar Creek custom case is hand-built by highly skilled craftspeople using only select woods, Providence Forge hardware, and premium instrument-friendly materials. At Cedar Creek Custom Case Shop, we are dedicated to helping you design the case of your dreams. Find out more at cedarcreekcases.com.
I went to a small liberal arts college in Massachusetts called Hampshire College,
Mhm.
which
Mhm.
is really uh, has a very unique and curriculum, or just um, it really fosters independent thinking, and again, that suited me pretty well, and
Mhm.
um, started studying a lot of music there. All through high school, I played music, um, but it was a lot of it was through school and reading, um, reading music, and then um, I didn't know a lot of theory. Didn't um, funny as it sounds, didn't play by ear a lot, as reading the
Mhm.
notes on the
Mhm.
page, and uh, anyways, I was when I got into college, I wanted to take um, music theory classes, and just learn as much as I could.
Mhm.
Um, so I studied a bunch of music, but I also um, encountered some really phenomenal musicians and people who just it was music is just oozing out of their bodies. You know what I mean? And it was like,
Mhm.
wow, I really like playing, but that's I don't have that kind of a gift. You know what I mean?
Right.
Um, like
Mhm.
I'm having to work at this, these guys. Um, and so um, I mean, it was partly that experience, and partly just feeling like um, I needed some sort of more grounding if I was gonna, what am I gonna do with my life? I didn't feel like I could make it playing music. Like I needed something, and uh, not that I got anywhere with that line of thought, because here I am as a luthier, uh,
Mhm.
but uh, I started studying. I was always interested in math, and kind of never took mathematics as far as I wished that I had, but uh, I started taking as many classes as I could in acoustics, and some of that was just straightforward acoustics, um, you know, s- straight physics. Had
Mhm.
some great classes, and one was called Math and the Other Arts, where we looked at, the Fibonacci series and just all the ways that math is found in nature. Um, Really inspiring class.
Mhm.
Had class in bioacoustics and studying animal sounds and how they communicate through sounds, and doing field recordings and um, analyzing the sound spectrums of, various animals. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I was just kind of veered from straight music to sound. And at
Mm-hmm.
some point, actually, it was through the, part of the wonderful thing at Hampshire College was it's part of a 5 college consortium in Western Massachusetts, which includes, Amherst College, Mount Holyoke College, Smith College, and the University of Massachusetts. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and um, as a Hampshire student, I could take classes at any one of those 5 colleges. Um,
Hmm.
and I took a wonderful acoustics class at Smith College, which for one was great because it's an all-girls school. How often do you get a chance to go to an all-girls school? uh, but yeah, through that class,
Mm-hmm.
one of the projects in that class was to make a musical instrument, and most people made um, flutes because it was take a piece of PVC pipe and drill holes um, you know at predetermined places, and you got a flute. I
Right.
decided I wanted to make a trombone
Mm-hmm.
because I played the trombone, and
Sure. Mm-hmm.
and uh, and it was actually really cool. It's PVC trombone. It's funny. It's one of the few things that I lost. I don't know what happened to that trombone, but it was college. You're moving every
Oh.
semester. Uh, but anyway, I
Mm-hmm.
befriended
Mm-hmm.
the guy who ran the machine shop in the basement of the science building, and uh, and I noticed that he had a back room that wasn't being used, and and so after that semester, um, I had that every January there was they called it Jan term. It was basically a free. The month was free to. You could not be there. You could be there and do nothing. You could be there and take classes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at some point, it got in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I should try building a bass. I've been playing the bass since I was 13. I've been building stuff since I could remember. I was like, wow, I should try to build my own bass. So anyway, I asked this guy. I said, hey, could I use that back room to, it's kind of a workspace? And he's like, oh yeah, if you can clear off a bench, it's all yours. And so yeah, I spent January there. I mean, half the work was in my dorm room, and half the work was in that shop. But built built my first bass, um, and I was hooked. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, it wasn't a spectacular bass, but it worked just fine. and played it for a while, uh, and but I was definitely hooked.
Yeah.
It's like, well, it's okay, but the next one, the next one will be better. Uh,
Yeah. Got you started. So that's a great
yeah,
opportunity.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. 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 So, so many of the success stories have moments like this where you had access to something that people didn't have access to. It
Hmm.
might just be an empty room in a machine shop. But I
Yeah,
mean, I presume that also if you had some questions, that guy was able to answer some questions and you could use some
yeah,
machines and such from time to time also,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
No,
The
he was
story of
great.
Steve Jobs and Bill Gates are the same way also. They happen to live close enough to a mainframe computer that happened to have a program where they collaborated with the high school and gave you an opportunity if you wanted to go in there and punch card sort of computer stuff, you could do that. But at the
Yeah,
time, computers were so bloody expensive that most people had no access to them. But those
yeah,
guys who became, the names of computers actually had very early access to computers through just fortunate circumstances. And so
yeah,
it doesn't surprise me to hear that you had this fortunate circumstance that seems like, just luck. And, it probably is to a certain amount, but it's, what a gift to have that while
Yeah.
you're at college, presumably in a dorm room or something of the sort. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a gift. And he hooked me up with, it wasn't a wood shop, but, I needed, I had this body blank and I needed to plane it down a little bit. And he hooked me up with the guy who ran the wood shop on campus and he helped me plane the wood.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, the machine shop guy, can't remember his name, Greg something.
Mm-hmm.
He was a neat guy. He was building a mini bulldozer in his spare time in the shop. But he taught me a lot just about shop culture and uh, uh, which that might have been kind of the first shop, like real shop that I had worked in. I didn't even in high school. My high school actually had, thinking back on it, had a really good wood shop, which I
Mm-hmm.
only got to take shop class like one or two times because I was always in band and it was either band or wood shop and
Right.
so I there's only one or two times I got to take wood
Yeah.
shop in high
Yeah.
school, which I ate it up. I loved it, but
Mm-hmm.
anyway, yeah, that guy
All right.
kind of taught
Great.
me a bit about shop etiquette and
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Mm-hmm. Great.
and it seems obvious
Okay.
putting
So,
tools back, but things like that.
Right. Oh, no, that is not obvious. If you've ever worked in a shop, you realize how many people do not find that obvious.
Yeah.
It is, it is
Yeah.
something that is pounded into you at some point in time. If you did not find it obvious, your shop foreman will make it obvious.
Right.
Yeah. But, and also if you've ever shared a shop with someone else who doesn't find that obvious, it will quickly
Right.
become a point of contention
Yeah.
when you go
Absolutely.
to get that thing and it's not there and they're not using it. If you're not using it, why isn't it there?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, great. All right, so you're in Massachusetts. You've built your first base. I mean, there are some. I don't want to jump the gun here. You have some further connections to Massachusetts. So you stayed there for 8 years. So what's the next sort of major point? You've got a couple of things. I'm swimming around here.
Yeah, I know where you're headed, but yeah, I mean, after I built that first base, of course, I had a Stuart McDonald catalog, in my hands, and in the middle of that, there was a um, advertisement for this place called Formanterra Guitars, um, which is a little
Yeah.
school on the island of
Hecky.
Formentera in Spain. And I was like, oh my God, it like I have to do this. and and talked to my parents and rustled up the money and I went off to Formentera that summer and um
Uh,
that was pretty life
so
changing. I mean, it was uh I built a bass, fantastic bass. It's uh, and but
yes.
just the whole
It's
experience was incredible. And in fact,
yeah, I read that in your biography at one point in time, and I was shocked. I was like, how did he end up at the Formanterra Guitar School? Because I've known of the Formanterra Guitar School for decades. I've known Ecke, but I've only ever known about it through Germans because Ecke is German,
yeah,
and
yeah,
Germans use those islands, the Balearic Islands off of Spain as a major sort of, like a Canadian uses Florida, and
right, yeah,
as a vacation spot. And so
yeah,
I
for
did
sure.
not know they were advertising in Stumac for international clients. You're the first sort of
I think,
non-German I've known to
I
go
mean,
there.
that may have been the only time, and they had, they,
You were the one guy.
yeah, and they had, I think they were offering one session that summer in English, um,
Hmm.
and so, uh, yeah, and it was fantastic. I think Nick Huber might have gone there.
He does. That's why I know Eki, is because Nick
Okay.
went there,
Yeah.
and I used to stay at Nick's house for the music mess
Uh-huh.
for years,
Uh-huh.
and Eki would always be there around for dinner and for stuff. It's exactly, I met him through Nick Huber. So you
Yeah.
and Nick Huber are the only guys I really know who ever went to that school. And
Yeah.
you being from California, I was like, how the heck did he end up there? So now I
Yeah.
know. Finally,
It
the
was
piece of
just
the
luck.
puzzle is in
Yeah.
place.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was at least the other people I know who have been there, so that was it wasn't all guitar making. There was lots of lots of
Oh
party
yeah.
fun on the beach.
It was, it was a lot beyond guitar making. But yeah, very, very formative. Uh, and yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, how often do you go and
Yeah.
sand a guitar in the sand, on the beach
Right.
with no clothes
Yeah,
on?
exactly. Yeah. Amazing. What year did you go there, Jerome?
It must have
Do you
been
know?
the summer of '95. I'm pretty sure it was, yeah, summer of '95 um, because I came back from that and, was about to start my final year at Hampshire College. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I was searching for, so the final year at Hampshire is spent doing, they call it the Division 3, but it's basically you undertake a large thesis project. It's an independent project, and it's supposed to, and it's sort of a culmination of the work you've done up to there. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and and right at that time, I had been exposed to. I had my neighbor in California. Is is still a good friend. He was from Austin, Texas. Coincidentally,
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's not a
Mm-hmm.
coincidence. I don't know, but and he was had been part of the Armadillo World Headquarters, which sort of put Austin on the map as the live music capital. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so he was a fantastic musician, and he had this a bass player friend who would come and visit from time to time, and he was a wonderful bass player. Um, and he developed carpal tunnel syndrome and had to stop playing. He had to give it up, and
Mm-hmm.
um, and that was really um, that hit me hard. I was like, "You guys, you can't play anymore? Like, like
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't make any sense to me." And um, he was a tall, lanky guy. He played, with his hands like this, both hands,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and and so I was really became conscientious of my own technique and how to play without your wrist being bent. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then also around that time, um, I was reading about. Um, oh, just to go back a little bit. In '91, I went to a summer music camp. It was called Berkeley in LA. It was put on by the Berkeley College of Music. It was a summer
Mm-hmm.
session in LA, and I heard Abraham LaBorial perform there,
Mm-hmm.
and that was the first time in my life. It made me want to cry. That a musical performance, instrumental performance, brought me to tears.
Yep.
It was just he was playing with so much emotion. Um,
Mm.
I didn't know that was possible, and he was playing a
Mm-hmm.
bass for all, for crying out loud.
Right.
um,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
so anyway, fast forward, and I was reading in Bass Player magazine that Abe Laboriel was also dealing with carpal tunnel syndrome, and and so I just started thinking more about my own posture and wrist positions and everything, and and thought, well, on the body end, players are getting carpal tunnel in their right wrist because their elbow's down, but their wrist is bent and playing the strings. And obviously on the other wrist, it's the opposite. And I thought, man, instead of reaching around the neck like that, what if the neck came like this, and just gave you a more neutral wrist position? And then, I thought, well, but you want the opposite on the other end. How's that going to work? But I took 4 strings and I just put them between my fingers, pulled them tight and held them straight, and then twisted it, like I was envisioning the bass to be. I was like, well, obviously the strings are still straight. So if the geometry of the fretboard followed that string path, it should still work, and I actually could have a twisted neck. And so I was like, well, that's it. That's my thesis project for my final year of college.
Wow.
I'm going to design an ergonomic bass. So it was just the right time. I needed a project to dig into, and it was the perfect project. It actually did pull on all the things I'd been studying up till then, and so I spent that year not only designing and building a prototype, but I also did a lot of research in medical literature and in a way to kind of justify my own observations, but finding medical studies of the same issue. Most of the studies that I found were on orchestral musicians because it's hard to pin down, the jazz and rock musicians for a study. But but anyway, so that's that part of the story.
This space is normally reserved for brands who make stories like this possible, like the Dario and the Cedar Creek Custom Case Shop. If your company belongs in this conversation, let's talk. We partner with brands who value craft, culture, and the quiet power of a well-placed idea.
What is, okay, this is a thesis for a particular class. What is the class that allows you to make an ergonomic bass as your final project? What was the class?
Yeah, it wasn't a class. It's just the way the college structure is designed. You basically it's set up in 3 divisions. Division 1, you have to fulfill your requirements of Division 1 and like science and arts and humanities, and there's 4 divisions you have to fulfill, and then Division 2, you kind of refine your scope a little bit, so you go deeper into a kind of a narrower subject, and then the Division 3 is kind of taking those first 3 years of study and putting it into a project of your own design, which is hard. It's hard to you got to be a self-motivated type of person, and so a lot of people freak out. They're like, I don't know what to do.
I've not heard of this on a college or university level, and so my kids went to a Waldorf school, Rudolf Steiner school, and that is something that they all do. They have a grade 8 project and they have a final high school project under the same circumstances. Basically, it's like you've learned all of this.
It's similar.
Now you get to choose something to apply your education to and justify it. And they had so many different things. As a matter of fact, my daughter made a bass guitar for her grade 8
Yes.
an electric bass guitar for her grade 8 project.
Awesome.
But another kid made a snowboard park in his backyard, and there wasn't enough snow, so he had to make a snow machine. So he made a snow machine,
Awesome.
blew his own snow, then made the snowboard park. Great.
Love it.
And so it shows you exactly these kids really have learned how to think. They really have learned how to approach the world. And so I'm really glad to hear that you found that in a. Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
It's like, one of those things when you hear it, you're like, well, why doesn't every school operate that way?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's great.
Okay.
I mean, it's
great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
okay, so you're doing this now. You've learned the skills of woodworking, not technically through one of your courses, but you've learned how to think about it. And you've had to learn about the medical issues of carpal tunnel because you're providing a solution, and you need to make sure that there's actually a problem that it indeed does solve, or could solve theoretically, anyways.
Right.
And so, all right, so you make the first twisted neck bass for yourself.
Yep.
And are you the first person to do this? Because you're not the first. You're not the only person I know who makes a twisted neck. You're the person who doubled down on it as kind of a brand, but you're not the only one I know who makes it. Are you? Do you know? Are you the first one to do it? Were there existing twisted necks out there?
It turned out that I wasn't. I mean, I wasn't aware of anybody else at the time. When I started going through the patent process, a guy named Leo Burrell turned up, and and he had patented a twisted neck in the mid '80s, and when that came up, I was like, oh well, oh well, but
and did he also take it through to the bridge side? Because there are people I know who make a twisted neck who do not counter it with the bridge,
right?
And you're twisting it in both directions sometimes.
Not really. I mean, but I'll say the way I look at it, it's twisted. It's just a matter of relativity, whether it's rotated at the bridge or not. But anyway, the patent attorney was like, "Oh no, don't worry about that. That doesn't mean anything." And to make a long story short, was still granted a patent. But right at the same time as my patent, the guys at Lace, the Lace Helix guys, also got a patent on a twisted neck, and a lot of people remember their guitar because there was I think it was the Discovery Channel did a feature on them way back, and a lot of people saw that. But yeah, and there's, I mean, I've been aware of a few hand builders here and there, doing the twisted neck. Some people have approached me and asked if I minded. Like, no, if you want to have a headache, go for it. That'd be wonderful. But
all right, great.
Yeah.
So you've made your first twisted neck bass. And how was it received? Were you granted what you were hoping for your marks and your final project?
Well, they let me graduate, so yeah. Yeah, it was definitely well received. It was it was sort of a it was a perfect project for Hampshire College, it turned out, and also it was perfect timing because right at that time, I don't know if you've heard of the Lemelson Foundation, but the man's name was Jerome Little, and he was
Hmm.
a very prolific inventor. And anyway, they just started a program at Hampshire College to nurture invention and innovation, um,
Mm-hmm.
and my project was a perfect fit for their program, and so I was, yeah, kind of right place at the right time. I was kind of the poster child for the Lemelson program at Hampshire, and they sponsored the patent um, process, and
Mm-hmm.
um, in return for assigning assigning the patent to Hampshire College, turned out
Mm-hmm.
to be, well, it is what it is. But uh, anyway, they yeah they helped me through um, that process, and
Yeah.
and they also set up a machine shop at Hampshire College, which after I graduated, I worked there for a little while. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and they also had an affiliation with the Smithsonian in Washington, and
Mm-hmm.
and it happened that right in that same time period, they were doing a big show um, on the history and innovation in electric guitars, and and I was invited to go and show my prototype at the Smithsonian, and um, and that's where, and all that, a lot of great guitar makers were there.
Mm-hmm.
First met Paul Reed Smith, and Tom Anderson was there, and Ken Parker, um,
Mm-hmm.
and and it was just a couple of weeks after that show, I got a phone call from Ken Parker, and he said, well, "What are you doing?" I was like, well,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
uh, uh, yeah, I was working at that
Yeah.
machine shop. Um, um, he said, "Well, why don't you come work for me?" And um, I was in Western Massachusetts. He was in Eastern Massachusetts,
Mm-hmm.
um, and I was, uh, I mean, of course, it was already an honor when I met him in Washington. Good, I've been reading about his innovations with the Parker ply and everything, and
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
was really inspired. And so to get a call from him um, and an invitation to come work for him was incredible. And so I certainly couldn't say no, and so we moved. We weren't married at the time, uh, but um, yeah, my girlfriend and I, we moved to
Yeah.
uh, Boston area, and I worked for Parker for
Mm-hmm.
several years. Um, and yeah, that was very valuable experience, and I became
Yeah.
great
So
friends
you
with
you
Ken.
worked on the Parker Fly.
Yeah, I worked on the Parker Fly, worked
Yeah.
on all aspects of it. Um, yeah,
Yeah. And now were they fully up and running? Like the product was fully developed and they were trying to scale up at this point in time? Is that when you came in
yeah, I
or
came
earlier
in.
than that?
Yeah, it was fully up and running. This was
Mm-hmm.
in the late '90s.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, I was there from, I guess, '97 to 2000, 2001. Um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, so yeah,
How
the
many how
flies
many
were
of
in
you were there when you
full production.
arrived? Mm-hmm.
Um, how many employees? There was probably 30, I'm guessing.
Okay. That's a
Um,
big operation.
yeah, it was
At
a
that,
full
I mean,
shop.
for
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah. I mean, I
yeah.
remember we were doing um 10 to 15 flies per day, and
Mm-hmm.
which, yeah, I mean, it was moving. And we were also
Yeah.
they had developed the night ply, which was sort of a compromise
Mm-hmm.
design, but it was, a bolt-on design.
Right.
Um, and
Lower
but
price point.
lower price point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously
Yeah.
the ply was the flagship for sure.
Yeah. The Parker Fly was the first very unusual guitar that I remember having put into my hands going into a guitar shop and someone
Yep.
saying, you need to check this thing out. I was young.
Yeah.
I definitely couldn't afford one.
Yeah.
But I didn't remember this. My wife reminded me. So a number of years back now, I think almost 10 years back, I was at the Artisan Guitar Show in Pennsylvania, and Ken stopped me in the aisle and, just, hey, Jamie, how's it going? Great. How's that, tour thing you're doing? Oh, it's going well, blah, blah, blah. We're just shooting the shit, just saying hi, right?
Yeah.
We walk away, and my wife, Roberta, says, that was Ken Parker. I'm like, yeah? She's like, he knows your name. I'm like, yes? I know a lot of guitar makers at this point in my career, right? Like,
Yeah.
Because, Jamie, when I met you, you had a picture of a Parker Fly on your wall, laminated.
Yeah.
I'm like, huh. You're right. I had forgotten about that. Like I'm very involved in the industry, and that's sort of I don't want to say the thrill is gone, but I didn't remember that I had this Parker Fly on my wall, and that brought back all the memories.
Yeah.
That is, I don't want to say it was an informative part of my life, but it was certainly, I was very attracted to the innovation of that guitar and the possibilities, because I've always played for possibilities, not to reenact something. Matter of fact, I'm pretty shit at playing other people's songs. I always wrote my own stuff from the beginning because I like to create, not reenact so much. And so, anyways, for me, as you're telling this story, it's like I'm tying in going, oh, this would have been, I would have experienced the Parker Fly sometime around this sort of period. And there you are working and we're connected. Not connected, but somewhere off there. Okay. So Ken calls you up personally because he saw the work you're doing and said, oh, this is the kind of outside the box thinker that we want to have at Parker. And, just to iterate some of the things that I think a lot of people today wouldn't necessarily recognize is that, the Parker Fly was doing stainless steel frets, but there were not stainless steel frets. There were stainless steel bars because no one made a stainless steel fret.
They hadn't figured out how to make them with a tang. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And before that, they didn't have a tang. They were just round bars, and you had to make these round inserts and put them in with epoxy. And there were composite fretboards and,
I found out later,
spruce materials with a exoskeleton, and they had no truss rod. It's a guitar string in there that provides attention. Like there's so much happening with that guitar that I don't think people realize.
There wasn't a piece
I feel like I need to say it out loud for those listening.
Yeah. There was no piece of that guitar that wasn't rethought and redesigned and just different. And that was, it was so inspiring. There wasn't every inch of that guitar, there was a reason for it, a functional reason. And, not everybody likes them, it's not for everybody. It's mostly aesthetic. But just from a design standpoint, it's a very fascinating instrument.
Well, and proof of concept, because that guitar was actually had a broad adoption that is not usual. Usually if a new guitar comes along, you can associate with a particular genre. And that guitar was being used across a very wide set of genres, from Reese Gabriel with David Bowie through to Joni Mitchell. Joni's using it because she doesn't have this finger dexterity to play acoustic guitar anymore, and she uses the piezo system in it. Because that guitar, again, was a collaboration between Ken, Korg, and Fishman, I believe, right? Three people involved in that company. 3 groups. Yeah. So, anyways, I just wanted to sort of set the stage for those. Often, as guitar makers, designers, we make assumptions about other people. And so for the people listening, there's a lot there. So Jerome, what was it like being in that space? What did you take from that experience that still lives in you today?
I mean, there's there's so many things that to take from it. I'm not sure how to characterize it, but having a mentor like Ken, and we haven't gotten to him yet, but Bill Collings as well. Um, those people, they're kind of always behind your shoulder. Whether you like it or not. And a lot of times I'm like, go away. I'm doing my own thing here, but they're in the back of your mind, kind of, judging like, yeah, you sure about that? Yeah. Um, and, so, I mean, that's a big thing I take. Um, and Ken was an incredibly talented machinist, just, um, um, and, I was,
Mhm.
um, able to work a lot in the tool room, and, you know, learn some machining from him. And, um, yeah, I mean, he learned a lot of things from him. Yeah. And some
Yeah.
great sayings that he used to say, quit dulling your tools and make something. It's just like,
That's great. Wonderful. All right. So you were there for 4 years, you said?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, about that.
97 to 2001, roughly. All right.
Yeah,
What happens in
yeah.
2001?
Um, well, I got married in 2000, in California, and actually Ken flew out and came to my wedding, which I was
Hmm.
still can't believe. I was like, what? You want to come to my wedding? Um, um, and, we were ready to start a family. And, oh, in fact, ready or not, we got pregnant, and,
Yeah.
my wife got pregnant, and,
Mhm.
and, it seemed, it, we wanted to be closer to to family. I guess in
Mhm.
particular, my parents. And so we moved back to California, not specifically where I grew up, but, in, the Grass Valley, Nevada City area, which is in the foothills up from Sacramento. Um,
Mhm.
so it was, close enough to my parents, but not quite as
Yeah.
rural. Um,
Mhm. Mhm.
and there was a wonderful, I knew a couple of wonderful luthiers there, a guitar builder named Lance McCollum, who's passed away, but he was,
Mhm.
um, building really terrific acoustic guitars. Um,
Mhm.
and, and a repairman named Luke Wilson, who, uh, I, I did a lot of work with Luke, and, learned a lot of repair work, through him. And,
Mhm.
um, I was hoping to work more with Lance, but he was a one man shop, and it was, he was trying to find ways to integrate me in, but it is, it's tough. And I know now how tough that is when you're a one man shop.
Mhm.
Um, uh,
Yeah.
but, um, so yeah, spent several years there, and to pay the bills, I took a job building trade show exhibits, which, was
Mhm.
actually a whole lot of fun. I mean, if you haven't noticed, I just like building shit, and,
Mhm. Mhm.
and, I can enjoy that no matter what it is.
Yeah.
But the trade show exhibits, uh, it was a little disheartening when they'd go to a show and then they'd go in a dumpster. um,
Yeah.
I didn't like that aspect of it. Um,
Yeah. But there's a fascinating part. If you like to build things, the fascinating thing about trade show exhibits is the modular systems that are
engaged in building those things. And
Yeah. Yeah.
you go
No, it
to
was,
a NAMM show, and if you're working as an exhibitor, people often sort of complain about the folks who are building the exhibits and how slow things are. But like, you realize they basically built a city in like 48 hours, right? Like
yeah.
a city. That's
Yeah.
cut them some slack. Like,
Yeah. No, it was, I mean,
yeah.
honestly, it was really fun, just build wise, because, most of our clients were, we built a lot for, Semicon, the semiconductor, um, trade show,
Mm-hmm.
and, the big, consumer electronics show. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, most of the clients were kind of, in the high tech world, and there was a lot of, at least at the time, the fad was like spirals and conical structures, and and it was, we're doing like 2-story structures, and uh, so yeah, it was fun, and it's fast. It's like, how light and fast can you build this? And it has to go in a crate. It all has to break down and go in crates. So,
Yeah.
uh, and so yeah, it was a fun
Yeah.
challenge. I mean, we get these plans from the designer, but it was just a design, and so I was like, how do you expect that thing to hang? From a invisible skyhook? Yeah, so we'd have to just
Yep.
basically engineer it on the fly, and build it. And so yeah, that was pretty fun. But and I actually played a lot of music in that
Mm-hmm.
period, which was terrific. It was funny when I answered an ad in the newspaper for that job, and
Mm-hmm.
when I went to the interview, I brought a bass that I'd built just to show that I could build stuff. And the
Mm-hmm.
and the guy doing the hiring was like, he told me later, he said, I woke up that morning and I thought, I need to find a woodworker and I need to find a bass player. And then I showed up that day with a bass and applied for the job.
Really?
Uh, so we wound up in a band together, and yeah, I played a lot of music in that period, which was terrific, um, and terrific in a lot of ways. I mean, creatively, creatively,
Yeah.
um, and it bought the groceries, so
Yeah.
it worked out.
Great. Wonderful. All right. So here you are, you're starting a family, you're building stuff, you're playing music, but you're still in California and you currently live in Texas. So we're clearly,
Yeah,
there's some journey to happen here.
yeah, uh, yeah. We were, yeah. My 2 kids were born there in California, um, and
Mm-hmm.
then, but my wife's family was from Texas, and we had
Mm-hmm.
a lot of mutual friends in Austin, and had been going to Austin, um, a lot over the years, and
Mm-hmm.
um, and yeah, it just seemed like the next logical move. There was not a lot of logic behind it, I don't suppose, but but we decided to pack up and go to Austin, um,
Mm-hmm.
um, and I had a few bass orders at the time, and there was also a fantastic um, bass store called the Bass Emporium here in Austin. Um,
Yep.
and I'd
I was there. I
already
remember.
been,
Yeah.
yeah, I'd already been good friends with John Files, who was running that,
Mm-hmm.
and had arrangements to do repair work um, in his store, and work on the orders that I had, and work on developing my business. Um,
Yeah.
and that was a plan, and still is. I'm still doing it, but um, but yeah, I got here at Austin, and was like, oh yeah, Collings Guitars is in Austin. I want to go check that place out, and
Mm-hmm.
so I called him up and just arranged to go, just go do a tour, and for whatever reason, I picked up my resume when I went for a tour, just to say, hey, I'm a luthier, without having to say it, but I wasn't really looking for a job. And in fact,
Yep.
in fact, when I met Billy, um, he said, "So, wait, you work for Ken Parker and you're a luthier, but you're not looking for a job?" And I was like, no, I got things going on. And it's like, well, good, because we're not looking for
Uh-huh.
anybody either.
Now that sounds about as Texas as it can get. That's good. We're not looking for anyone either.
That was just Bill's sense of humor. That was just his sense of humor.
Yeah.
But, and then it was only a few months later. I don't remember if I called them first or they called me, but we're both like, yeah, let's do this. And yeah, so, and Collings
That's
was
great. What you
a great place to work as well.
What year was that?
That was in 2004.
2004. Okay. Wow, it's and to this day, you build your instruments, but you also continue to work with Collings Guitars, yeah?
Yep. Still do, yeah. Yeah, it's just been a great balance. It's
wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just
you know.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, Collings has been great. It's Collings' reputation. I mean, they really set the bar for quality production instruments, and it's just great to be part of that culture. And
yeah,
I miss Bill. He was he's a great character, another great mentor. Grateful to have him judging me over my shoulder as well.
All right, you gave us a Ken Parker quote. You got one for Bill Collings? What is Bill saying while he's judging you over the shoulder?
I don't know. I got a lot of Bill Collings stories. Most of them I probably shouldn't even tell, but
go ahead. No one's listening, and I promise I won't edit.
I don't know. He liked to he liked to moon people. We can start there.
That's great. I love hearing this stuff because when you have a reputation of very high standards and expecting sort of perfection, people get the idea that you're stuffy.
Oh, yeah.
But neither Ken nor Bill were stuffy.
No,
they had high expectations for the work, but yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah, there's actually there's quite a few hilarious bare ass stories with
That's great. It occurs to me as we're having this conversation that both those mentors have passed. That's
it's I mean, it really hit me when Ken passed away. That two of my three great mentors have passed. The third being my dad, and he's still alive, but I've lost him. He's got dementia pretty severely, and so I've lost that connection, even though he's still here, which is a strange reality.
Mm-hmm.
But but
But you had
yeah,
3. That's way more than most, man. That's incredible.
yeah,
That's something to be grateful
yeah.
for.
I have to stop and pay gratitude. It is special.
Yeah. Both those guys left enough of a mark that I remember. I remember the moment I heard about their passing,
Hmm.
and I remember what I did, what was happening at the
Uh-huh.
moment. Ken being the most recent, I was on tour with the Boutique Guitar Showcase last year, and we spent a
Yep.
day filming with John Monteleone on this podcast.
Uh-huh.
I filmed John's biography and then did a separate conversation. And afterwards, we're traveling on the road and I went to the grocery store. I went to the Trader Joe's and I'm standing in
Yeah.
line. And as you're standing in line, like one does, I pulled up my phone and checked my Instagram and I heard that Ken had just passed. And
Yep.
that, yeah, my wife just said, go. It's okay. I'll buy the groceries.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I was, cause yeah, I was affected for sure with that. And then I was also working Boutique Guitar Showcase at the Summer NAMM show. And actually Richard Hoover came up to me. And Richard is the
Uh-huh.
one who told me that Bill had passed. And
Uh-huh.
Richard and I went and sat down and had a conversation
Uh-huh.
and just, yeah, he reminisced and that was it, But the point is, we don't remember necessarily the details about everyone who's passed in our lives.
Right.
But, people remember when Elvis died. People remembered when Michael
Right.
Jackson died. They
Right.
remember when important people in their lives, when John F. Kennedy died,
Yeah.
and Ken Parker and Bill Collings left enough of an impact that I remember anyways. I'm sure you do
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. What an incredible opportunity, Jerome, for you to have those 3 great people in your
Yeah.
lives.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting because,
Yeah.
in a lot of ways, they could not be more different in their approach to the guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's it's cool to have, you know, ha- to get influence from both sides of that.
How do you define that? What do you mean both sides?
Um, I mean, in the very simplest form, Ken was looking for, the, the least amount of sort of a minimalist design and, um, let's take away all the things that are unnecessary. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and, and, you know, and firmly believed you could still have a great sounding guitar that was lightweight, um, and, you know, and responsive, but you could still get a full, deep, you know, warm sound. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and, and I don't think Bill believed that, I think Bill believed that you had to have a certain amount of mass, in wood, and,
Mm-hmm.
and neither one are wrong. You know? uh, and
Yeah.
and that's what's fun about guitar in general is you can have many different designs and none of them are wrong. They might have different, uses, different, um, scenarios where they're appropriate or just appeal to
Mm-hmm.
different people. That's probably the biggest thing. um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but that doesn't mean one's wrong or one's right. They're just different.
Yeah. 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 Because, no one's going to die from playing the wrong guitar. right? So let's not get too serious about it, right? Like it's it's a matter of what this thing can do and what it inspires you to do ultimately, the music that you want to make with it. And so I see all of this in your instruments, Jerome. We started talking about your twist instruments, of which people can check out. Your website is Torzal.com or
Torzalguitars.com.
Torzalguitars.com, which is Torzal guitars.com.
Correct.
Or ZAL for the Americans listening.
Right.
Yeah. And I think of them initially for your 35-degree twist, both in the neck and on the body, which is not always what you do. You do variations of that.
Right. Yeah.
And when I think about the basses that I've experienced, we've experienced quite a few of your basses at this point in time, over many years. They definitely do have all of the material sensibilities of what a bass player expects, with the innovations for the improvements of ergonomics that you've contributed to it with the bass. But your quality is fantastic. I presume it.
Thanks.
I don't know what your quality was before you worked at Parker and Collings, but that's things that they're definitely both known for. So you saw what was good enough, what wasn't good enough along that way.
Yeah.
And you can expect that sort of high quality out of a Torzal instrument. But you've made instruments recently without this twist at all, and I don't know exactly what to say about them because they're not headless. Neither do they have a traditional headstock. And so why don't we talk a little bit about the instruments that you've made recently? Because if somebody doesn't put the tuning machines on the headstock, normally there's also nothing where the headstock was, as if it's been chopped off to a certain extent. Like it ends very shortly there after the nut. But you've left quite a bit of wood, but not a headstock. Do you call it a headstock? What do you tell us about this new instrument and the impetus for it?
Yeah.
Why did you do it that way? It's interesting.
Let's see. How do I start this story? I mean, the initial impetus is well, it's multiple factors. One is, through these years of working for these other guitar makers, especially at Collings, I've seen the quality of wood go down and the price go up. And, the world's not running out of wood, but good wood is getting harder and harder to find. And
scarcity drives value. So if it's scarce, then the price goes up. That's just basic economics.
Yeah.
So you're noticing this scarcity effect.
And so for one, I was dreaming of a way to make a superior instrument with inferior materials, basically. Not necessarily inferior, but not your typical tone wood. And in the thought that that you can still get the good resonant qualities of a good tone wood that might not have the structural qualities, but if you pair that with composite materials, that you can get a recipe that gets you both things. You get the structure and the tone. So that's one, looking for a process that's efficient material use. The other thing is, these, speaking of efficiency, the twisted necks are not efficient on material use because I start with a oversized block of wood machine the twist geometry into it, and then, as they say, carve away everything else that doesn't look like a neck. And so, there's quite a bit of waste. And it's difficult. I've been, trying to think about, I'd like to, I love the idea of somebody else being able to make the twisted necks besides just me, because, I'd love to, be able to carry that on. I'd love to be able to go backpacking and have the work continue. Things like that. So I was searching, looking for ways that might be more production friendly, basically. Not that I have any delusions of grandeur, but anyway, so, I started thinking about molding a neck instead of carving a neck. But I didn't want the sound qualities of a all composite neck. And so long story short, I came on this idea of using a softwood core with a composite carbon fiber skin on the outside, and it's funny because I had all these original thoughts, and I was like, oh, duh, that's exactly what Ken Parker's been doing this whole time. How could I ignore that influence?
That's what the fly was. Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, so essentially, so it was too complicated to prototype that in a twisted neck, and I just wanted to build some straight ones first. And so I started building straight necks, and I think, we had a meeting a while back. I put the first few. I just needed a body to put it on, just to test it out, and I had a body from laying around from a just kind of a classic P bass with the old Tele pickup, and
the original P bass.
Yeah. And so I put this neck on that, and strung it up. I was also just trying to prototype some string anchor designs, because I had a custom, twisted neck order that was, the customer specifically, was asking for. He wanted it headless, but with a headstock, with the strings anchored at the headstock, and so I was kind of working out some designs for anchoring the strings, and I thought, this is a perfect opportunity to, test these thoughts I've had on that with this other neck, but, I didn't want to spend too much time on it, kind of just quick and dirty prototype. So I was like, well, I'm not even going to bother putting a headstock on this. I'll just extend that past the nut, but since it's just that conical structure, there's not room to keep a straight string pull on the strings and have the string anchors. So I anchored them all in the center line, and so it kind of came together, just a quick and dirty prototype. I actually took that into Collings just to show some people, and like the first two people I showed it to, maybe 2 out of 5 people, were like, dude, I don't know what you want for that bass, but I want to buy it. I was like, well, no, you don't. This is just this is just a prototype. And they're like, no, seriously,
Yeah.
like, I want to buy that. I'm like, well, they're going on to something. Let me build a couple more, and then I'll talk about selling you one. um, so, yeah, so I built a number of those and sold them, but I knew, and I had that meeting with you, and you were, you know, appreciated your honesty on feedback on that. And, and so I, designed a body that I wanted to see, fit that neck design. Which is all, it's still, to me, it's all a stepping stone to, developing that in the twisted version. But, that body that came along, I personally fell in love with it. It's sort of a medium short scale. It's a multi-scale. And I really fell in love with it. Took it to the NAMM show. If you remember, Bass Gear magazine awarded it best in show. So I just got great feedback at the NAMM show, and so it's just been a fun exploration, really. And I'm still exploring. I mean, I'm always exploring, but this is one of the things that's coming out of it.
Yeah.
And so
that's great.
Like I said, I still intend to make the twisted version as well.
Right.
But it turns out the straight version is also super comfortable and ergonomic, and it's just a joy to play.
Yeah. Great. A few things I'm thinking of is one, it's your curious exploration that keeps us connected, frankly. As a matter of fact, this year is the 10th year of the Boutique Guitar Showcase, and I've branded it as 10 years of curiosity and exploration. And so, you doing this is exactly what we do. That's why we work well together,
Yeah.
And, you talking about the uptake of the instrument reminds me of a moment, a few months ago, we released Sheldon Dingwall's biography, and Sheldon had someone who worked with him, a bit of a mentor, who, when he was trying to do one thing, he's like, Sheldon, when you have the right thing, you won't need to push to sell it. When it's right, it won't feel like an uphill grind quite the same way, And so when you say you walked into the first one and 2 people tried to buy it from you, and and you got best in show at NAMM, that's example of that, and a couple of days ago, I was not so far from your original home. I was in San Jose, interviewing the legendary designer Hartmut Esslinger, and Hartmut also said, that a good design doesn't need to be explained.
Yeah.
People just get it and it works. If you have to explain it, you're not done designing it, basically. Too much. And so, congratulations on the Best in Show award and on the immediate uptake of your instrument, because that's definitely proof of concept. So well done. Yeah. And I'm excited to show these instruments, on the Boutique Guitar Showcase on tour. And this is not meant to be an advertisement, but I've taken your twisted neck instruments around the world already, and honestly, they're a bit of fun in watching people's reactions. So sometimes, if I know the people in the repair shop at the store, I'll walk into the repair shop at the store and say, one of these instruments has got a bit of a
I think a bit of a weird neck on it. Would you mind citing this neck for a second? And they always go, "Holy shit!
Yeah.
What is this?" And actually, in the Netherlands, in the Fellowship of Acoustics, their head of repair looked at it and went, "See, I told you it was possible. It doesn't matter the shape of the neck as long as the string line lines up." And he used it like as a preaching, like proof of concept, like, hey, I've been telling all you motherfuckers.
I've had a lot of repair people thank me. They're like, finally, I've been trying to tell people it doesn't matter as long as it's twisted right and you address it properly. You know, it's not the end of the world.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's been a lot of fun to show your instruments. And they address some very specific needs, which is always interesting because, I mean, your part of your pitch is a bit of especially with men. Men, chronically, as healthcare professionals will tell you, and all of our wives will tell you that, we're not quick to admit when something's wrong, and we'll sort of limp through it for decades if we can limp through it. Right. And so, a bit of it is that you're addressing an issue which some people don't want to recognize, with your twisted neck.
Absolutely.
Now, there's the other side of the people who are getting, who can't do their favorite hobby or getting put out of work because of it, which is where your impetus came from, and I think very clearly, when I grew up on hard rock and heavy metal also, and I remember Kiss, when they did their Animal at the Heavens on Fire thing, they had this new guitar player, Mark St. John, and he recorded the album and couldn't do the tour, and their next guitar player, Bruce Kulick, was hired to do the tour with Mark St. John sitting on the side of the stage the entire tour, hoping that one night his wrist would be good enough to get on stage and play. Fucking awful. Wow. You get hired by one of the most famous bands in the world and they can't do the gig. And it was because of carpal tunnel syndrome,
I didn't know.
Who knows? Had you made that instrument more than 10 years earlier, maybe Mark St. John could have actually fulfilled his his duties and dream of playing with Kiss. So a lot of times we don't address it until the problem is over. Actually, I'm very curious to know what the percentage of your sales are? Are they people who already have a problem? People who just find it to be interesting? Or people who are saying, I care enough about my body and ergonomics to preempt it? How many are bought by wives who are physiotherapists who want to prevent their husband from having a bad carpal tunnel syndrome? What does your normal customer look like for this?
I don't know what the percentage is. I would say I'm sure the majority are aging men who are starting to feel the effects of age, and and they may or may not already have a problem, but they're starting to recognize I better do something to address this, because I really want to keep playing. But and I mean, I guess a lot of people have had issues, and so that's how they find me, as they're searching the internet for solutions, and usually people are like, oh my god, like, where have you been? I wish I knew about you 10 years ago or 20 years ago.
Yeah. Well, that's great, Jerome. Thank you for being curious and continuing to explore. Thank you for your contributions of the guitar, for making inspiring instruments, for sharing your story and being a part of my life with strings attached. As we wrap things up here, Jerome, I always throw it back to my guest. Is there something that you were hoping we would talk about today that we haven't yet discussed?
No, nothing's coming to mind.
All right.
It's been a great conversation.
Yeah. Thank you. You're an interesting guy who has done a lot of very interesting and amazing things. And so thank you for doing that, and for not just being a dreamer, but for someone who does something about the dreams. I appreciate it very much.
I can't help myself.
Yeah. Well, thanks for being on the show, Jerome.
Yeah,
Till
thanks for
next time.
having me. Quite an honor. All right.
All right.
Bye.
Bye for now.
You've been listening to Life with Strings Attached. If today's conversation meant something to you, consider passing it on. These stories find their place through the people who share them. A new episode comes out every Friday, right here, wherever you're listening. I'm Jamie Gale, and thanks for listening to Life with Strings Attached.